Hey, good morning, peeps. How's everybody doing today? Happy Thursday and Friday's Eve. Yeah, I think that's how it's said. How y'all doing this morning? Good? Get your coffee? My neighbor, he is a respiratory nurse, the person that deals with respirators. Highly stressful job. Coincidentally, in my lifetime, I've had two neighbors that do this job, and it's very very heavy duty because they're basically the ones who put people on ventilators and then have to turn them off. So he's a great guy, makes amazing pottery. I don't think he has a website, he just does it. It was pretty impressive setup. He's got a big kiln in his garage. But yeah, it's a good release for him dealing with what he has to deal with. So if you know people in that field, give them a hug because that's heavy stuff. Anyway, I don't know why I got on that this morning, but hey, here we are. So I just watched Militia Man. Lots to unpack on that one. Really, really deep intel on that his latest show, and I'll put links to all the channels that I watch in the description. One of the subtle takeaways from it was the stability of the dinar, which is it's very important. And the main thing with even at where they're at 1310, there's no inflation. There's big things happening in Iraq, and they're I got zapped by a wasp, and it's driving me crazy. Anyway, there's big things happening in Iraq, but they're not the fireworks that we're waiting for, obviously. But they all are important, and they all lead back to a rate change. So the stability of their banking, their implementation of AI in their banking is key to their future. Why is that? Mainly, their banking, since the Gulf Wars, has been as corrupt can be. And it all stems back to Parliament. And Parliament is the one that's delaying all this stuff. Frank 26 has always spoken out against Parliament and how corrupt they are. And it's being brought to light. And the harder they go after Al-Alaq, the more they're showing their hand. And they're dealing with the corruption. And dealing with corruption in Middle East countries is not like dealing with corruption in the United States. It's more terminal. So back to the stability. So Al-Alaq is coming to New York, to the federal bank, from what Frank is saying. And I believe from my interpretation of what Frank and Militia Man are saying is that they believe that this is going to be the rate change. I hope so. That's just pure speculation, but there's a purpose for his visit. So, and with all the banking stability and everything that they're shouting from the rooftops, it only makes sense that they would have the rate change coming. All right, so again, Parliament continues to do their best to keep their cash cow alive. Um, they're fighting the budget appeals. Again, let's backtrack a little bit. The 23, 24, 25 budget was passed back in into 22 into 23. So it's legit. It's law. It's there. It's whatever. What we're looking for is the rate change. So when they pass the budget, they have embedded in the budget mechanisms that allow them to adjust the rate and then it be retroactive back to 23 and then adjust all the books accordingly, and then all of a sudden you're in the black and you have tons of surplus money. So that is what Parliament is fighting, because they want to keep their way of life in place. In other words, stealing money from their citizens via the black markets or parallel markets. But Militia Man was talking about it this morning, that basically with what they're doing and the stability and the banking with AI, all these things that they've put in place has basically killed the parallel market. And what comes next is the rate change, because if the dinar has the stability and is parallel to the dollar, then the next logical step is the rate change. So, interesting theory from Militia Man is that Iraq has been taking in all this dinar and they're buying dollars in these auctions to get the dinar off the street. And then what comes next is going to be the initiation of the delete to zeros. And then we all know that that leads to reinstatement and float to the cap. So I know that we're all looking for the rate change, and we're all looking for fireworks and all that stuff. It's coming. These are breadcrumbs. These are clues that are showing you that it's coming. And again, Iraq is the key to all this. And there's plenty of division on people's opinion of whether it's going to only be Iraq or it's going to be the global RV. There's, Frank has said that he doesn't believe in the global RV. It doesn't make sense. Militia Man has said that and I'm not quoting these guys. I'm like spitballing here from memory, but Militia Man doesn't not agree with the global RV, but his wheelhouse is Dinar, so he doesn't really have the time or the interest in pursuing the global RV, because let's face it, there's enough going on in Iraq to occupy all of your brain cells. So, from Zester last night, watching his show on Mark Z, it's just been crickets. They've put out feelers to all their bond contacts, and they're basically getting ghosted. So they're on pins and needles. There's more to it that they're obviously not saying. Zester, Zester, to his credit, is a little more tight-lipped than his dad. Sorry, I don't have a voice for speaking. It dries out really quick, so that's why I clear my throat all the time. Anyway, back to Mark. So yeah, Zester's a little more tight-lipped than Mark. We did say they're like getting flooded with rumors and stuff, but they don't want to share anything without it being validated. And I don't know how you validate a rumor because they're rumors. But so there appear to be something that they're waiting on, confirmation that seems to be big. So Zester said they're waiting on pins and needles for that. So that's your RV news for the morning, overnight. So going on to the clown world, aka politics via mainstream media. I don't even know if that's right because I don't watch mainstream media. Via Twitter. That's basically where I get news from. As far as Trump, he made a statement yesterday, I believe it was, that when he's put back in office via reinstatement or election, veterans who are forced out of the military due to refusing the jab will be reinstated. They'll get all their back pay, and along with a formal apology from the United States government. That's kudos. And then on the Bricks channel on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, they had an article where Trump vows to restore relations with Russia. Don't believe everything you see about Russia. I follow a guy on TikTok who is an American living in Russia, and he gives boots on the ground reports about life in Russia, and he interviews citizens there and what they think, and there's another channel on there that I see, and basically life there is not what we see on social media and the news. It looks pretty dang good. Definitely a lot less drama. Sorry, this thing is like driving me crazy. So that kind of, leads me to my next topic about narratives. So, on one hand, well, I'm way out of focus. I don't know what's going on here, sorry. My camera wigged out. Let's see if we can bring it back into focus. Yeah, sometimes that works. The power of coffee. Anyway, narratives. So, on one hand, we have all the doom and gloom that we are force-fed. I guess we're force-fed if you choose to get on social media or turn on the TV. So the latest is Biden-Harris administration wants to impose a 44.6% capital gains tax. And then within that capital gains tax proposal, this includes a 25% tax on unrealized gains. So, what does that mean? So, if you accidentally made money on crypto or a sale of a property, or you had a property and Joe Millionaire wants to buy it and offers you like 10 times over market value. That's an unrealized gain. And again, I'm not a financial expert, so this is for entertainment purposes only. But, so that would be an unrealized gain. Then all of a sudden, I got to pay 25% tax on that. So what if you already spent the money and you bought a yacht or another house? Well, all of a sudden, you have to come up with all this taxes on that money. So what do? Then you have to sell the house that you just bought to take the money and give it to the government. And then you got to go buy something lesser. Does that smell like communism to you? Because if this passes, it will absolutely nuke the middle class. So unless you're fortunate enough to live in a home that's 100% paid for and all you got to do is pay taxes on it, it's looking pretty bleak. So back to the narratives. So this is the doom and gloom side of life in the corporation. And then you have on the other side the white hat theory, the movie theory, trust the plan theory. So which one do you believe? Let me know in the comments. It's hard to stay in front of what's being shoved in your face with, well, if the White Hats were in control, why is this happening? And if the White Hats were in control, all this stuff wouldn't be going on. Well, that lends itself to the movie, because if it were as simple as just pulling the trigger and making all the bad people go away with the wave of, your Harry Potter wand, then it would have happened in 16 or whenever. But it's not that easy. And again, I've said this before. What we are living in is history. So somewhere down the road, people are going to be looking back and unpacking what we're living in right now. And it kind of... Have you all seen the movie Interstellar with... what's his face? That's a deep movie. It's more than just surface. But there's a scene in it where they're talking to old timers about, and again, these are actors, but the story is that they're interviewing old timers that lived through the Great Depression and how they survived that and the things that they had to do to not starve to death, and the blight that was on the world at that time. And that's a deep rabbit hole. Was it man-made or was it natural? But anyway, so that's what in the future, us people that are living in this now are going to be old timers, and they're going to be interviewing us. What was life like during the movie? But like I said, if it was just as easy as waving your hand and doing a Jedi mind trick and making all this stuff go away, they would have done that already. So, do we sit back and trust that this is the white hat movie and grin and bear it? Or what responsibilities do we have now? Do we vote in November? I am, and here's why. Because the Democrats don't want you to. And that's enough for me. They're putting it in our faces that there's going to be a repeat of 2020. And that's coming from both sides. the Somali woman who was trailing in the polls, I think in Minnesota, and all of a sudden overnight she won re-election. What more do you need to know about elections? So, so it's being put in our face that we're going to have a repeat of 2020. So my theory on that is that if we make it to that event on November 5th, it's going to be so obvious that Trump is the forerunner, and that he is the person that the nation wants as president. And just like in 20, he's going to be leading the polls, blah, blah, blah. We go to sleep, wake up, and Dominion does its thing, and then all of a sudden, look, Harris is the new president. What's going to happen then? Are they going to get their civil WAR that they're trying to get so bad? Again, I have to try to not get this video taken down, but it will be uploaded on Rumble. So they're finally going to get the event that they want and use that to take away your Second Amendment. These are the deep thoughts that keep me up at night. But hey, trust the plan. White hats are in control. Now, I'm not saying they're not. We are in World War III, WW3, and it's a keyboard war. It's a psyop war. Unless you know someone living in the Middle East, how can you believe anything that we see on the news or Twitter? Or, this thing about Twitter is basically a regurgitation of news from different sources, and just like this is being interpreted by some talking head or keyboard head. So how can we believe anything? It was bad enough with all these kids growing up with an iPad in their hand, and they become the mini Steven Spielbergs, and they can make movies and video games that look realistic. That was bad enough. But now with AI, CGI, green screens, all this stuff, how can you believe anything that you see on Twitter, on the news, on whatever source that you gather your intel from? So unless you know someone that's living there and that can validate, yes, there are bombs falling in this, and insert a country, unless you can validate that personally, how can we believe any of it? So yeah, it does seem like we're living in a movie, and it's it's not if a plot twist is coming, it's what day is it coming on, or what's the plot twist of the day. So, all right, enough rambling for this morning. I hope you guys have a great day. Plenty of coffee, and tomorrow's Friday. So, all right, I will pop back on later if there's any news to talk about. So, have a great day, and we'll see you. Bye.